guys, welcome to Tour Truck Tuesday. I'm joined this week by Marshall Thompson from TrottieGolf. We're going to be talking Fuji shafts in these heads. Obviously, you can change the flight control sleeve of the TaylorMade Sim and the Sim Max driver. So, now I've got Marshall, the expert from Fuji, with us. We're going to talk about shaft options and how we can stay in the wheelhouse of one company and dial in different flights and how you pick what's right for you. Marsh, welcome.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate you hitting some shafts for us today.
So when you're in this situation, and look, I've got average speed, play a lot of golf, know what I like, where do you start in the fitting environment?
Yeah, you know, and I think it can be sometimes confusing because there are multiple low flight, low spin, low launch options within one company's brand, but sometimes they do exactly different things. Our Ventus Black, which you're going to hit, it's the stiffest in the tip section, the mid, and the handle of all the shafts that we produce. So
okay.
You should get a little lower launch and a little lower spin than the other shafts.
Okay. So when you step up here, we're into a prevailing wind today. The range here is always into wind. We're at sea level. I've got the club down. Tee height, maybe I'd like it a bit higher, to be honest, and I'm seeing a lot of face. In the setting, I've got it in out the gate. But let's see what it produces, and then let's talk about it from there and how we work with it from there. It's not too bad, a little low, little left maybe, a little low in the blade. I'm gonna tee this one up a bit higher. Now, we're cheating a little bit because I know I like the golf shaft. This would be where I'd start every time. It's probably why I've gravitated towards it. Talk to me in simple terms about the other two. What are they?
Yeah, so...
And I'm going to keep hitting here. You keep talking, I'll keep hitting.
When we're talking about just simply profiles, with the Mittori X, which is new for 2020 this year, you get a shaft that's a little bit softer in the handle, which allows the player to load it, but you get a stiffer mid to tip section. Now, we know Ventus is the stiffest part that we make, and then with our Evo 6, you get a very stiff handle section, but a little softer middle and tip section, which could produce a little bit more launch and a touch more spin. I think it's imperative for a person that's going to go fit to find out, you know, why they're there, what they want to do, where they want to go, and then the fitter will kind of make some tweaks along the way. But we both know that it's a head and a shaft combination to get them there.
So we both work in the fitting world. We're there all the time. I know right away looking at this, feeling a bit stiff today in the body. It happens to us all. This feels a lot of work today for me. I'm seeing too much loft. I have to put loft on it. I know from TrackMan, which we've actually got running here, producing a ton of spin. So let's take this out, and I was interested to go for the second one you were talking about there and show the guys how...
You want that one or this one?
This guy. Okay. Show the guys how this would work. So would this be... This isn't the softest of the three.
So it is in the mid to tip.
Okay.
It's got a stiff handle, so for people that still load it aggressively, they could still get that same feel on the handle, but it's a little smoother from mid to tip, which should help with a little launch, help with a little spin, but mostly feel.
So I've also gone 2 clicks lower than where I was because I'm going to get more launch out of this, right?
Yep. So
I can play it as a player with less loft, so I can see less loft on the blade, which then should satisfy, because loft will change dynamic loft, right?
Correct. Now, the stiffer the shaft, the less dynamic loft. So we know that when a shaft is making impact with a ball, it's drooping, it's twisting, and it's in lead, which is going to produce loft. Now, the stiffer the shaft, the less lead, so it
changes all those things.
It's going to decrease dynamic loft.
195 gram head. And you've checked on swing weight. Marshall's checked all the swing weights on these before, and he knows this comes out at...
That's going to come out at D2.
D2. So that's the balance point in golf. D, and then the number is how we measure the balance point around a fulcrum point that's 14 inches from the butt section of the golf club. So this comes out at D2. That'll be about normal standard for a set of golf clubs that I would play. So...
And not all shafts, you know, have that same balance point. So
correct.
A lot of times they can be tip heavy. You might actually have to take some weight out of the head, and you know, the counterbalance head, you can actually put weight back into it.
Which is why when you shafts like this and you do the experiment, you must do what we've come into this saying, which is check the swing weight before. If you're with any good fitter, they'll do that. Obviously, we're talking fitter to fitter here, which is why it's taken me a few more balls than a PGA Tour player to get them hit. But we're switching between, we know what we're looking for. So I've gone less loft straight away, which means I can deliver less numbers. You can already feel as a player when you waggle this that there's a bit more give in it, but the swing weight's the same. So pick the target, try and get back into being a player here for a second and give us a smooth transition, and we'll make this job much easier. Prevailing wind slightly into, like I said. That's a much different flight, hey? Smothered it a little, but much different. Now, you could almost argue, I would look at that and think maybe it needs a bit more loft.
Yes, just a tap. If the spin was okay, you're at 2,500 RPMs a spin. You know, just a tick more loft would probably help it just get up. And
Where's the launch at on that one?
your launch was
6.3. So that's too low. So, but was it my best hit? Maybe not. And again, we're going through this for example cases, but let's see if we can get one that we're happier with the launch, happier with sending this up in the air. I mean, that was hit a bit better in the blade.
Yeah.
Obviously, the body's getting moving now. Better numbers. I would imagine still low, though. 7.
The launch of 26. So we definitely need maybe a half degree more loft.
I agree.
Because your spin's close to where you want, being that, you know, our launch is low. I need more spin to keep it in the air longer and get that, you know, carry.
I agree. So click that now. A little bit more loft on it. Bear in mind, we're in the same shaft. We've made one shaft change. You can feel big differences, but that's things that everything's marvelous. These feelings that I'm having with the golf shaft are coming from me. Now I'm putting more loft on. All of a sudden, I can see more of the blade. The face angle turns in a little bit more. As a player, I know that allows me to turn onto it. Some players, when they see that much loft, will wing it left. Things you have to be conscious of. So then you could get back into the firmer tip if you want to, providing you've got the loft. So again, set up, try and lose yourself in the target. You know you're getting the feeling, you're getting the trust, getting the speed now as the body's moving. And that is, I like that. Borderline spinny because it's into wind. Maybe I could turn one over. What was the spin numbers on that?
2,900 at 9.
Okay, I really feel though, let's tee it up a bit more. Let's feel the draw a bit more. Now the body's going, like I say, the speed's coming. Set up a bit more for a draw. I actually like this shaft, Marsh. You might not be leaving with this one. That's really good. That's really good.
Yeah, I think, you know, in terms that you're just going to get a little smoother feel here. You will get an increase of spin compared to the Ventus Black. I don't mind a little bit of spin because it keeps everything on the planet. You know,
Yeah.
Once it gets too low, it gets away from us quickly. So, you know, I think we could still tweak around maybe a little bit with this and make it even better.
So where do you think I've just gone there with that loft sleeve?
Spin's getting a little bit high.
Yeah.
And I just think if you get into a little bit of wind,
Yeah.
I think it's going to get chewed up. So I think we just got to get something that rides its apex a little harder.
Okay. So I've just moved that a little stronger in the loft sleeve. Try and feel that draw now. I like how I'm swinging it now. It's coming together. It certainly looks good into the breeze, and that's what you can tell with our conversations. That's what you're always working on between player and fitter. But you can see subconsciously that's down at a 6 degree launched again. It's spinning at 2600, which is where Marshall wants to see it. It's where I want to see it. But I think it's hard here on a day like today because as a player, you cover it. I've literally just had the same experience with Michael Gligic from the PGA Tour working 100 yards from me here. You're turning into it and you're compressing it. Two things raised there. One, obviously I still think somewhat like a player, but two, don't rule stuff out just because you're hitting it in this environment.
Yeah. I think a good option would be let's try this Mattori X, which kind of fits in between those two that you hit. A little softer in the handle compared to the Ventus Black and the Evo 6, but definitely a little firmer from mid to the tip than that last one that you hit.
What's striking me here, and this is what I like about Fujikura, is there's two shafts on the floor now. I like them both. There's a third one in my hand. I know Fujikura. I've actually never hit this shaft, but the chances are I'm not going to rule it out. And I think that's what I'm trying to portray here. Yeah. That you've got the sleeve, you can put it wherever you want it, providing the swing weights are good. I can play 2 out the 3. So you've really got to look at that when you're going for a fitting. Do any players ever talk to you about the graphics? Because obviously this one is much cleaner.
A lot of people love the graphics. I think the Mattori X and the Ventus we get a lot of compliments on, and those are obviously our latest 2 models, which are doing extremely well in the aftermarket and on tour. But from a graphic point of view, they love this. They think it's sleek, it's sexy, it's got a little color, a little pop to it.
I like that.
But it's simple and clean.
It doesn't rage that I'm going to shoot 65 every day of the week, but it's also, if I did, I could flash it at the camera. Okay, so this is the, to explain again on the tip.
Matori X, 6X, softer handle, stiffer mid to the tip.
Okay, softer handle. What should we see?
Hopefully a little uptick in club head speed. And
Okay, I like that. Good flight there.
This shaft has an accelerated taper, so it tapers from the handle to the tip a little bit faster, which allows it to store a little bit more energy and hopefully produce a little bit more club speed, which will then in turn produce that extra ball speed.
But do I need to put extra tapes under the grip section, or is it still the same diameter?
It's going to be slightly smaller than Ventus Black, but yeah, maybe.
The grip doesn't feels okay.
One extra wrap, but I think it's pretty close.
How often when you're fitting do you look at wall flight all the way?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Because that was hot. That looked hot.
The launch seemed better. Yeah, 9 degrees at 2,500.
Okay.
That's kind of what we were trying
So
to get to.
if we can find 12 at 2,500, then we're in the game.
That was your longest one of the day.
Yeah, we're warming up now, Marsh. We're warming up. Little underneath it, maybe. Give myself a break on that one. I think all three of the clubs would have missed fairway left. Ventus Black might have held in there. That's where I feel we're getting to now. Like, how do you pick between one of these three for me if you're looking on? And I know we're going through it quickly and there's a lot of information here, but how would you pick as a fitter? How would you guide me?
You know, I want to know what's your shot shape, what's your goal in mind. I think that with this product being a little bit higher torque and slightly softer than Ventus Black, I think you're going to see it turn over a little bit.
Talk to me a bit about torque again, simple terms.
Yeah, so torque is the amount of resistance to twist. So the higher the higher the number, the more twist. The lower the number, the less twist. And with Ventus, you get that VeloCore technology, that really low torque, the resistance to twist, and good center face contact. Now with this, a little bit higher, I think you might start to see
some shape
over just a little bit left.
Okay. See, I like the fact that there's some play in it because I can feel it's coming off quicker, but I'm worried as a player about seeing it move right to left, and they're down the left side.
That's a 5-yard, draw, which is pretty good. I think we just find out what you miss, where you don't want it to go, and then we kind of work our way in from there. But as in terms of launch, spin, and feel, I like this one the best for you. I think then you could manipulate the head, maybe change a lie setting or move that, the weight around maybe slightly towards the toe to minimize some of that rotation to kind of slow down some of that draw. But I think overall, that Matori X is pretty darn good for you.
At what point do you go up? These are all 6Xs. At what point do you go to the 7?
Yeah, to me, the weight's always been a personal preference and a feel. I find that heavier weight gives you a little bit more control, a little bit more stability, a little less movement, a little more accuracy.
So would going up in weight be an option here?
Going up in weight would be an option. I just wouldn't want to see you launch it a little bit lower. That's a lot of what happens sometimes when we go to heavier weight. More material, stiffer profile, slightly lower launch.
Okay. Spin gets affected by weight?
Spin can get affected by weight. That's really good.
See, I feel out of these shafts, this one has a lot in it, a lot. And for me,
that's pretty good. That's
good numbers, 10.7, 2600, that's what I'd be looking for. We're normalized on the launch and spin here. It's good, but I do feel like, and maybe I've cheated this whole test, but maybe a Ventus Blue.
I think a Ventus Blue would be good for you.
Yeah.
You're getting the same tip section as you do from the Black. You just get a little bit more feel like you get from this one.
So for people that aren't Dustin Johnson, they can play it.
And that's why we make a wide variety of products for a wide variety of players, because we know that one shaft doesn't fit everybody.
There's the thing, one shaft doesn't fit everyone, yet I still feel like if I get in different flight control settings, I could easily make all three of these work. And I also know 150 yards over there in the King, there's about 12 Ventus Blues that I could try as well. That's what I'm trying to show you guys when you come here. Be true to yourself, hit shots, gauge your tee height. You see a difference in tee height when it comes to spin rate? You must see that yourselves. Marsh and I both see it, we both play a little bit of golf, we both understand. And give yourself a break subconsciously, be on the range where you're at. This one's into breeze, like I say. Always look at the ball flight until it ends. Back it up if you can with a TrackMan. But I think it's a good test, right?
I do too. I think You got to go through the process of testing settings on the head, finding the right face angle, the right lie, the right loft, and then marrying that with the right shaft, and potentially changing some CGs. You can dial in any driver, any TaylorMade driver out there with one of these particular shafts, but find one that feels good to you. I think you made a good point to where you didn't feel like you were warmed up earlier in the stiffer Ventus. You felt like you were working at it. Sometimes I see that when a shaft is too stiff, whether a player subconsciously knows it or not, they might be working harder and potentially swinging more up on it, which I've seen Ventus Black hit higher and spin more because they're working way too hard at it. It's got to be effortless power, and you got to go get fit for it.
There you go, effortless power. I like that one, Marsh. Thank you very much for coming down. I appreciate it. Everyone, that was a fitting with Marshall Thompson from the tour team at TrottieGolf. If you like what you're seeing, subscribe, hit that notification button. I bring out videos once a Tour Truck Tuesday. I reckon I'll bring more with the shaft companies. If it's something you want to see, let me know. Until next Tour Truck Tuesday, I'm off to hit a few more of these Ventus Blacks. No doubt we'll see some more good ball flights, but I like where it's going. Thanks, guys.